First of all, your reflections now, a few days on from last weekend?
Great effort, intensity, a significant improvement defensively from the week before. We need to maintain that sort of standards, and against the very best you need to make sure that you cash in when you're in front, because you know that it's very, very difficult if you don't, and good sides will have enough quality to make you pay. And when we couldn't maintain good possession, and get out of our half in the middle of that second half, we paid the ultimate price.
You've seen Sale last month. What have you learned from that game?
They're big and strong. There's lots of South African accents, they enjoy the collision and attack the breakdown. Nothing that I didn't know already from my time in England, obviously. But we know that they pride themselves in being very efficient in how they play, and you need to be very good set piece and breakdown.
You're bottom at the moment, no points. To get into that sort of Challenge Cup, 9th to 11th, top 8 as well. How important is it that the Ospreys are still playing European rugby in April?
What's more important is how we perform on the back of some indifferent results. We started the season exceptionally well. We're still top of the World Shield and bits and pieces like that. It's important that we have good performances in order to set ourselves up well for the next game against Edinburgh, which is obviously leads into a Six Nations period. What's very difficult around that game is obviously we lose a lot of international players from that moment or from this week on. So it's important that we get performance momentum as much as outcome momentum. So if we perform well, then the outcomes you mentioned take care of themselves.
You mentioned the Welsh internationals. How pleased are you for Jack Morgan and Dewi Lake first call-ups or first senior call-ups?
Yeah, great. Obviously, we've Dewi Lake's been a project for some time, and we're working hard. You saw how well he went from a collision point of view at the weekend. Obviously, keep working with the set piece element. We've got specialist coaching for him and the other hookers around maintaining his throwing. So Simon Hardy's worked with England, Australia, Scotland. So we've put some of the very best around him, and we're excited about him as a prospect, as is Wayne Pivac. Jack Morgan, as we know, has been one of our most consistent performers, a menace on the ball, has shown some good attacking touches which we'll need to keep improving, but a very committed young man who's basically finding his way and has still got a lot of improvement in him, which is exciting.
I know we've asked you quite a lot about him over the last year or so, but Adam Beard, just over a year ago, wasn't in the Wales squad. He's now been promoted to vice-captain. You've seen leadership, he's done captaincy roles with you. Just sum up, with the Six Nations and Alliance test match in between, just sum up what he's achieved and how he's come back, please.
Well, I think it's a good example of how a player with the right coaching and structures around him can bounce back from disappointment. So 12 months ago, as you said, he was left out, or just over 12 months he was left out. He was given things to work on. He was around a new environment. He's reflected, acted, and improved his performance to a level that he's one of the first names on the team sheet and been given a leadership role. So ultimately, Adam's achieved this by what he's done. Our part is creating an environment to help him and all the young players and emerging players and any player actually the opportunity to keep improving and become the best version that they can be. And I think Adam's a good advert for what everyone's done around that, but most of all what he's done.
Finally, for me, a weekly injury. Anybody back? Obviously, Justin Tipperick. Wayne said he might miss the Six Nations. I'm just wondering anything on him, and also George. You spoke about Dan last week, George North, when you might expect him back, and anything from last week that was that's coming up who's unavailable this weekend.
So let's start with Justin, because obviously that's we've had some second opinion scans recently, and I can confirm that he's probably not going to be well, he's not going to be involved from a Six Nations point of view. The injury isn't where we all hoped it would be, so it's going to take a long time to get that right, and so he's probably going to miss out on that, and he's back when he's back and how he responds. But yeah, without doubt, it's going to be, months rather than weeks now, I think. So that's where he is with that, which is very sad for him. And again, with the same support we put to our fit players, we need to put around our injured players as well, because obviously the mental element of that is very disappointing. Alan Wynn's exactly where he should be. That hasn't changed. He's making progress. He's been up at the Vale this week, doing some stuff with them, in and out of the Welsh camp, so he's exactly where he should be. George North is actually showing some good progress, which is great, so we're hoping to get him back in February at some point, which is great. Dan Lydiot's completed a week of training, and we're hoping that he's available for selection probably next week, which is great, to get someone back. Who else? So people that we've had a few knocks and bangs around from the Racing game, as you can imagine, the amount of collisions that were in it. So we've picked up a few small dents, but nothing too major, which is good. Anyone else that's coming back? Steve Myler's returned to training this week, which is exciting. I think that's it. There's no one else you want to know about, is there?
No, that's fine. Sorry, and on some good news as well. Final one from me, talking about Adam Beard. Owen Watkin back in the Wales squad. Has he shown, the last couple of months similar to his form warrants?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been one of our most consistent performances. People have spoken about having greater influence in the game. He's created line breaks. Defensively, he's always been very good, but he's showing more on the attacking side of the ball, especially from the collision. We're pleased for him because he's worked really hard at acting as Adam Beard did on the feedback that he's been given.
Toby, it's Mark, it is.
Hello, mate.
Oh yeah, Gareth has just used up all my questions.
Perfect. That works well for me.
There is one, more than one actually. Tom Curry was outstanding in the game against Ospreys before Christmas. How do you combat a player of that calibre?
How long is a piece of string? World-class player. I know that gets bandied around a bit, but around the breakdown, the biggest compliment I can give him, and actually, to be fair, his brother is very similar, is nuisance. And has a big influence on games. We talk about, how much influence individual players can have, and he has a massive influence, especially around the breakdown. England have seen that. Sale benefit from that. And you need to be very, very accurate at the breakdown. You need to set breakdowns on your terms, and you need to not set too many breakdowns. So ultimately, that's how you negate the threat. But he is a threat and a constant threat. So yeah, around those areas of the game, if we want to impose ourselves onto Sale, we need to be very, very accurate there.
With Owen, you're just talking about him. Are there specific areas, Toby, that he's improved his game? I'm thinking of perhaps his attacking game. Wayne wanted to see some progress there. And he showed that certainly last week, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's shown that, more often actually, to be fair, throughout the season. I think that for us, that means playing 12 actually allows that, I think, as well. He gets a bit more hands on the ball earlier in the proceedings. So I think that positional adjustment helps him. But certainly his influence around picking the right line, he's got smarter on how he's done that, and he's dominated people. Instead of running at people, he's running on weak shoulders, and I think from that point he's created a few tackle bust line breaks, and also he allows himself opportunities to offload through the tackle. So from that point of view, as you say, he's become more attacking focused, and that serves him and Wales, but also us, and where we're trying to go much better because we're playing on the front foot.
Do you see Justin playing again this season, or playing at all this season?
I think we need to get through the next couple of months before I can make an accurate decision on that. At the moment, it's just coming to the reality of what we do next, as we do with any injury setback. making sure that we've got enough support around him, and that he understands, and as he will, because of who he is and what he is, and he understands that unfortunately injury is part of what we have to go through as professional sportsmen, and as an organisation, we'll get him involved in stuff around that he can contribute as soon as possible. The disappointing thing for him, I think, is he saw the goalposts were right in front of him. We got him back to just getting back to training, doing some training, and then under pressure, there were a few warning signs, and under further investigation that the injury is not fixed as it needs to be. And in the sport we play, you can't carry that because you'll end up doing some serious damage. So we've got to keep the health of our players centred. He understands that, but it's very doubly frustrating for him because he was getting close to being back to doing the things that he loves to do. So that's our immediate concern is, where he is from a psychological point of view, and understanding and mapping out the journey for him to focus on to get him back playing, because we all want that.
And there were a couple of significant Ospreys omissions from the Wales squad. I'm thinking of Reece Webb and Nicky Smith, who've both been playing really well. How have they responded, Toby? How do you expect them to respond on the pitch?
The only way they know how, which is keep performing really, really well. Gareth Thomas is in and Nicky Smith is out. So we're blessed with having two very good, or with Rod Jones, three very, very good loose heads that have all played international rugby. So from our point of view, it's about getting everybody pushing forward to be the best version, as I said, as a loose head. And that competition has made one get in front of the other from a Welsh selection point of view. But I know Nicky is a massive competitor, and that will push him on even further. So Nicky's been around the block a bit; he understands it. There's, things can change very, very quickly, and all he can be is ready for that opportunity. And being ready for him is producing good performances, as you said. Like when he's come off the bench, he's created turnovers, scrum penalties, etc. All he can do is keep putting money into the bank from a selection point of view. And similarly with the other boys, Webby's been outstanding for us, captain the team, led by example. He's been really good. Reece Davis is another one that people have spoken about. All those boys can do is just keep putting their hand up. Keep putting their hand up, and if opportunity comes, they've got to be ready.
I've asked you before, Reece I think he's 33 now. Do you still think there may be opportunities at test level for him?
I think that he's performing at a test level for us. But there's some very good scrum halves in Wales. So look, I can't control what they want from a scrum half. I know from a leading by example, from an effort point of view, from a consistency point of view, Webby's done that for us, and will continue to do so. He's becoming more influential as a leader in the group and maturing around that. And I really enjoy working with him. So their loss in that respect is our gain.
Yeah, and my last question really about Alex Cuthbert. Alex has obviously nailed down a spot there. How do you assess his contribution for the Ospreys this season?
Yeah, he's done. He's been in and out a little bit. Obviously, due to the intermittent element of the competition we play in, and COVID and all those bits and pieces. He needs to put a run of games together. He's obviously got back into the international fold, which is very exciting for him. And I think the more we get him out there, the better he'll get. How far, to that, what levels we'll see. But I think the first challenge for us always is to get him out there for long periods, week on week.